Welcome back to my channel, Sunshine Shoulders. I'm Calvin. Thank y'all so much for stopping by today. I got some bad news for men under 50 coming to the Philippines. So listen up. You're probably going to need more money for your vacation or for your retirement. Let's take a look at this. You know, on average, younger men tend to spend more money wastefully than older men. And this came to my mind today because on my members only live stream, we were talking about how young is too young to retire. And I thought about something that the Global Vagabond said on my live stream, my regular live stream, when we were talking about retirement. He says, there's two things you have to consider when you retire. Do you have enough? And have you had enough? And it just sprung to my mind. I was like, younger guys just seem to spend more money faster than older guys. And I was, I looked it up and then I went back on my experience. So when I looked it up, it says, there's some factors involved as far as why that is. But let me put this disclaimer out here, that all young men are not irresponsible and don't spend their money wastefully. Okay, but on average, you do. And the first thing that they said was, they were talking about impulse spending. And I was like, yeah, because, we younger men don't have a whole lot of experience with money, so they're more likely to spend impulsively. And when I look back on my first, I'm going to say 8 or 9 years of coming over here to the Philippines. Well, now I'm going to say less than that. I'm going to say about my first 6 years coming over here to the Philippines. Man, I was spending like money was growing on trees. And it's going to go into the next one, but impulsive spending, I was buying stuff I didn't need. Everything looked like a deal. I was younger, I was busier. You know how they say, you got to sow your oats. Well, it's a lot of potential oats to sow over here. And so as you're younger, you're more active. And I'm going to give you some examples of guys that I know right now who are in their 40s, who are less than 50 years old. They spend a lot of money. But they said impulsive spending. That was me. I started coming over here at 45. I was about to turn 46. I didn't stop spending like that, I think, until I was like 50. Let's see, my son is 13. So I'm going to say 50 or 51. But they talk about lifestyle. See, younger men tend to spend more money on entertainment. We prioritize entertainment and fashion. Okay, we follow a lot of trends and stuff, right? So remember, a lot of these young guys I meet over here, myself included, we eat out a lot. We stay in these nice hotels. I know a friend, man, Smiley, shout out to Smiley. He's got every Jordan that's ever come out. Every pair of Jordan that's ever come out. That's a lot of money he spends on shoes and fashion. Even when he's over here. My buddy, I've got a good friend over here, Angelo. Shout out to Angelo down in Davao. He said, Calvin, my budget is the same or more over here than it is in my native Canada. And it's based on that. And then they were talking about something about financial stability. They said older men generally can save more, and they usually invest instead of just wasting their money. Now remember, everybody's not the same. This stuff is going to vary widely across the board. But I wanted to talk to you about this because there's always the question, how much money am I going to need? Well, how old are you? If you're younger, if you're under 50 years old, you're going to need more. A guy 60, 65, 70, he may be able to make it over here on $1,000 a month. Okay, but if you're, $1,000 to $1,500, let me put it like that. But if you're under 50 and you got all those things going on, like I told you, you over here, you itching, you're looking to be scratched, okay, just like I was, you're probably going to need $2,000 to $3,000 per month. And it's evidenced by a lot of the younger guys who are coming over here. Okay, remember living abroad helped that guy? You see how young he was? He had come over here and spent all his money. Gio did a video the other day where he was talking about a guy 35 years old was stuck over here broke. I'm telling you, very seldom, you know, do you see men like 60, 65, 70 who come over here. They'll usually get sick or something like that. But they don't spend frivolously like younger guys do. This is something to think about, ladies and gentlemen. We were talking about just a little bit today because it came across my mind. I'd never talked about it before. Everybody, well, how much money I need? Well, if you're younger, you're going to need more money. As I've gotten older, my spending has went way down. My wants and my needs have went way down. I came over here, I was 46 years old, ladies and gentlemen. I hadn't even turned 47. I bought 1 million pesos with me. Okay, and I spent 7,000 US dollars in 2 months. Staying in all the fancy hotels. And this is back in 2010. I haven't come anywhere near that since I've gotten older. Only a fraction of that do I spend. But I see guys over here who are younger. They're spending a whole lot more money. Okay? They want their girl to look good, so they're going to buy her the latest fashions. You're going to be island hopping everywhere. Bohol, you're going to go to Surigao, Boracay. You're going to do all that stuff. You're going to be partying. And you're going to spend a whole lot more money. So just think about that. I wanted to talk about it today because, you know, I talk about stuff that's relevant. If it comes across my mind, I'm going to talk about it. I thought this was important, you know, because, you know, according to YouTube, people on my channel, majority of people are 45 and over who watch my channel. If you're 45 years old, man, you're talking about even coming over on vacation, you got to bring more money because you know your spending habits are different. Okay? You're busy, man. If you're anything like I was, you want to look nice. I wore new stuff every single day. You know, I'm not going to stay in a 2-star hotel. I wasn't staying in 2-star hotels then. That changed over time as I got to know the Philippines and got to weighing it up like, hell, they got Wi-Fi, air con, and a soft bed here, and hot water. Same as the damn Baez or the Quest or whatever over here for half the price. You know. So yeah, it's really bad news because for some reason we want to put everybody in the same bucket. You can't do that. You know, it's like, well, how much I need? Look at how much you're spending now. And then it's going to give you an idea of how much you need because you're going to be spending the same way when you get over here. Everything's going to look like a deal when it's really not. You're going to be excited. You're going to be on that vacation mode. Because the first time I came over here, I promise you, man, I spent my very first trip, I spent $2,500 just for 1 week here. I went through a travel agency like a damn fool, and they set me up at the Crown Regency for 1 week, and of course Korean Air, back and forth. It was $2,500. I ended up extending for 1 week, so I had to pay. So I'm pretty sure I spent another $1,000 in that week because I spent, let's see, the other 7 days at the Tamboli Beach Resort. And of course we had to eat. And, you know, of course I'm, you know, taking care of the woman who was with me. This is something I want you to think about. Okay, you're going to spend more money than, if you're less than 50 years old, more than likely you're going to spend more money than a 60-year-old and above. We've been there and done that. We sold our oats. It's over with. By the time we get over here, we've already slowed down. We might get that little bit of excitement for, you know, a few weeks, but then it's back to normal. We may start out like this, but eventually it's going to go like that. But you young guys, y'all stay ready. Okay, so just think about that, guys, when you plan your vacation over here, when you plan your retirement over here, because a lot of more guys are coming over here now. They're in their 30s, they're in their 40s, and they're retiring here. It's going to take more money for you. Okay? That's the bad news. I'm sorry. So if in America, if you're in the Philippines, wherever you are, man, your heart to help somebody. Not a day goes by and I don't help somebody. Because if I don't know anything else, I know this one thing for sure. We help other people, we help ourselves. Take care, stay safe, stay out of trouble. I'll see you next time. Don't do anything stupid. Remember, everybody's not cut from the same cloth. For some reason, they want to put us all in the same bucket. It doesn't matter whether you're 40 or you're 70 when they start talking about budgets and how much money I need. Now, if you're a young guy, if you're under 50 years old, you're going to need more money when you come over here. I promise you that. You're going to be busy. You're going to be all over the place. You're going to be itching, and you're going to need scratching, guys, okay? Don't say I didn't warn you. Example after example after example, you see these young guys, they're going broke over here, young. That guy Gio talked about, he's 35, man. He's stuck over here. I'm pretty sure the guy Alex helped. He was no more than about 35 or something like that. These guys are under 50 years old. Okay? And they come over here and they're, what do they call them? Weekend millionaires is what they are. So just always keep that in mind. So if you say, well, I got 2,000, you may want to bring 3. Okay, if you say, they say I can live on $1,000 a month over there. Well, if you're less than 50 years old, I doubt you can do that. Okay? I doubt it very, very seriously. Okay? For those 3 things that they talked about. Impulsive spending, lifestyle, and then financial stability.